comes in. They start saying, I could not do this before, but I can now do this now. And of course, what do? They also learn to live in what? In ways that exalt God. Now, let me play back their own. Learn how to live in ways that engage. This is the Search Institute report. But I have modified that to say they learn to live in ways that do what? Exalt God. When we are talking about discipleship, we want the glory to do what? To go back to who? To God. And so, developmental relationship is me instructing, connecting, getting to interaction with someone with the aim of that person doing what? I can't hear you. There's a close connection that leads to a discovery. Can you say discovery? Okay, maybe I'm not doing discovery correctly. Should I do it this way? Okay, so it is my interaction is to make the person do what? I can't hear you very well. Discover, and to also do what? Cultivate. Cultivate skills to do what? And learn how to exalt God and also do what? Contribute to the world. When I was doing an assessment of Master Life as a program, I did that some years ago, at 96. I realized that one deficiency with that curriculum is that it can make you grow in faith, but it may not make you communal. Most of the people I surveyed at that time were good in understanding the disciplines and they knew what to do. They do their quiet time, they do their prayer, but they are not engaged in social justice. They don't go out to fight for other people. They don't go out to fight for their community. It's like, as for me and my house. So, but complete Christianity is not living for yourself. What is it? Complete Christianity is exalting God and living for others. Let's go on. So, developmental relationship has both the instructional and training angle. And in the church, what will developmental relationship fall into? It comes under school, Sunday school, Abby, and then discipleship, leadership, and mentoring. So how do we now initiate, key elements of developmental relationships? As a small group person, there are 5 key elements, and this also is from Search Institute. There are 5 key elements that must characterize what you are doing. Please note them. It's a gerund, it's a continuous tense. Number 1, elements of developmental relationship is what? Expressing care. You cannot have developmental relationship if you are not doing what? Oh my God. I would pack my bus. Should I go on? Maybe I should just hold on. Are you in the spirit? Anybody in the spirit here? Are you in the spirit? Can I hear you chant it back and tell me you are in the spirit? I can't hear you very well. So why are you looking so dull? Can you tell me any reason why you are looking so dull? Are you hungry? Tell me more. No, Revd will give you a bottle of water. So, developmental relationship is 1, you must be a caring person. What's the second thing that's a mark of? Make people feel valued. Please, when people feel put down in your presence, your group will naturally die. They may be there in body, but they will not be there in soul. So, if you are also jacking them to a hostile zone where you are the model and they are all failures, and they do not see any humanity in you, they see divinity versus humanity, then the group will die. So, expressing care. The second thing is what? A developmental relationship does this what? He challenges people to do what? To grow. That's why it's developmental. What does that do? It pushes people to go further, further, further. It's like as you jump this level, what they call that game? Is it high jump? I put my bar here. When you jump it, what do? I raise it again. When you jump that, I do what? I raise it again. I say, I cannot try. They said, please go. And they cheer you. So a developmental relationship pushes people further. But what else does it do? It provides support, stand up for people when they need it. Do you think it was easy for Onesimus to go back to Philemon? Hello? He was a thief. He was a fugitive. He ran away from home. And somebody was giving him letter to take back. But if you look at that letter, there was enough support system there, isn't it? I could tell you that he should not come back again. But I am giving you who is my very soul. There was a high commendation. So standing up for people when they need it is developmental relationship. Now if I were to ask you, are you really standing up for any other person? The skills that we are talking about will not come up. And the last two is what? Sharing power with people, which is delegating. And I am bold to say that the church here has allowed people to flourish. I remember that during the sessions, there were questions like, what if somebody is trying to start something? What if a ministry is doing this? Developmental relationships assumes that we are not all the same. And our gifts will manifest differently. Abi? And so ministries will also come up differently. And the last one, expanding possibilities. If it is developmental relationship, I must be a way maker to somebody. I'm not cloning people to be me. I'm making them to be like Christ. And when they are fully like Christ, they could express themselves in a different way from the way I express myself. When I was privileged to pastor a church, I know that there are those who have loud voice who didn't need a microphone when they want to lead. And they could lead the church in very, very good prayer point. But me, if the microphone, if NEPA is not on, if it's about but we have different expressions. God in his mercy had expanded them. Some of them have become pastors. Some have different ministries today. So developmental relationships have 5 elements. What are they? I can't hear you. Caring. Growth. Support. Power. And expanding possibilities. Now, I like people expressing it too, Abby. And so, 5 elements. Number 1 is what? Caring. I can't see you do that very well. Caring. The group must be a caring group. And you can look at details later. Number 2, it must be also what now? Do I see you do that now? Raise the bar, growing. I am going. I can't hear you very well. We are going. Are you going? Okay. And the third one is support. Support. Ejeka Joshi. Support. And number 4 is sharing power. And the last one is expanding possibilities. Please read more on this. They have developed that very well. Now, to be an effective builder of developmental relationships, what do you need to be? I told you I'm looking at Jesus and Paul as model. Developmental relationships can be superficially initiated, but that will be manipulation. If you read public relations books or human relations books, they will say, oh, smile at somebody, oh, greet somebody. You could superficially manipulate people. But if you are genuinely working on initiating developmental relationship, you must be one kind of person. You need to be who? Number 1, you need to be what? Grace giver. Hello? I love the word grace, and so that's why I pushed that first. If I had a daughter, probably her name would be Grace. Now, it is remembering where you started from. It is remembering that whatever you become is not of your own power. It is remembering that you're remaining on the right track. It's not of your own power, isn't it? Grace is saying, I have pondered, and what I have now received, what would I do with it? I give unto others. Developmental relationship is so rooted in the willingness to give grace. To see somebody who is written off, condemned, thrown out, and say, this one too can become a human being. So, developmental relationship, if you are going to be one that will be effective in this regard, you must be a great giver. Number two, you must be what? Understanding. And I stress this a bit because not knowing the people you are relating with, not knowing their worldview, will lead to superficiality. Sometimes we rush into relationship without knowing the person we are relating with. All because we want to, proselytize somebody. So we just get into the relationship without seeking to say, from which background is this person coming from? You need to be informed and sensitive. There's a field of education that we call emotional intelligence, isn't it? We talk about being aware about the feelings of others, regulating your own feelings, and also being conscious of the other person's perspective. So it's important that there will be understanding. And the third one is what? You must be a matured person. Let me stress this. If you lack self-control and you enter into developmental relationship, you might want to take advantage of people. I shared the story of a discipling relationship in Koshofe that really turned two people into giants, if I will call them. The lady was a Muslim. She joined our church in Koshofe. Well, a Muslim, then went to white garment, then somebody invited her to Koshofe. They were well-to-do, she and her husband. She was a manager, she bank manager, and this young man counseled her, he welcomed her into the church. She gave her life to Christ, and he said that, but for you to become a full member of this church, you must be discipled. And she said, for once, something struck her, full member, cannot be a full member. She had gone to other places where people celebrated her. Of course, she gave herself in. And she said, oh, I'm a busy person. The man said, don't worry, we'll come to your house. We can disciple you in the house. So he started with 6 lessons. And she said, what touched her the most? At that time, I was not in the picture as the pastor of the church. It was the things that happened at a general level. What touched her the most was that when he came to our house, he would only focus on what he had come to do, ignoring the affluence. They had big sitting room, they had money, and he did not collect 1 kobo from them. You first anyway, you the first law. And when they finished 6 lessons, he also introduced follow the master. He introduced Christ and serve the master and whatever. I got to know them when in the church meeting, church council meeting. The man rose up his hand and said, as a full member of this church, man, Keninja fool. But it only new terminology. So I became curious. And then he explained what he meant. That when the person who greeted him and counseled them, when they gave their life to Christ, told them that you are not a member yet unless you are disciple. And they will be rushing down from their workplace, rushing home to come and meet him. So they assumed that it was a normal thing in the church. Unfortunately, it was not that normal in the church, but it became normal. So, but he was self-controlled. He was not like someone who was coming home to beg. It was like, I'm concerned about what I can give you, not what I can get from you. I see affluence, but I'm not so much concerned about your affluence. Now, today, the husband and wife are pastors in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. They allow me to share their story. The man became the conference treasurer for Lagos Baptist Conference at that time. So, it was a journey that radically changed them away from what they were doing to full devotion to the Lord. But it started by a matured person. And I imagine if they had fallen into the hands of another person in the church, I know many of them. He would have been going there with different prophecy and whatever to just swindle them. But they fell into the hand of someone who was matured. Mature people are self-controlled, they are what? Patient, and they are competent. And of course, for you to really initiate good relationship, you must be a contributor, you must be a truth teller. My legs are on the pedal for time purpose. You must be a contributor, eager to add value. You must be a servant. And the last point of developmental relationship, you must be what? An extender. Is that correct English? English. Is there any word like extender? See, just take it from me. I've added that one to it. It is okay with my own notes. Is that okay? If there is none, take it. I have added it. An extender of grace. Someone who extends influence, someone who says, I'm making way for you. Someone who says, I'm standing for you. Jesus was there for Zacchaeus. If Jesus was not there that day, they would have said many terrible things. And Paul was there for Onesimus. I will talk about currency for relationship. Destiny lifter. I like that one too. Destiny lifter. Destiny lifter. So destiny lifter helps you to get to where you are going. Is that the word? Destiny lifter. Extender is there. Oh, thank you. Sometimes we use some words we don't know. I was just writing, I just wrote it there. I just felt anything that extends you is extender. Who is making a request? I'm not collecting your request, sorry. Put your affecting. So, let's talk about context and currency, then we'll talk about skills for initiating relationship. To initiate and nurture a relationship that develops others, there are things you should watch out for. When the search people were talking about developmental relationship, they told you it's an environment that people feel they belong. So, I'm a Bible student. I tried to look at what was it that changed Zacchaeus? What was it that changed Onesimus? What characterized that context? What are the things that we can infer from there? Looking at Luke chapter 19. One basic thing that I think is usually missing in relationship is we find it difficult to accept people who are not like us. Are you listening to me? It's very, very difficult. And as I write this, I also said that to myself. We find it very difficult to accept people who are not like us. And the first thing that we want to do is become like me before I accept you, isn't it? Let me give you a drama that played out in one of our churches in Ogbomoso. It was a wedding ceremony, and obviously the church did not prepare the people that were coming in because they were from winners. So, those ones dressed, living, body, no head covering, body parts were open and all that. And that church, wanting to be very, very Baptist about this issue, what did they do, mommy? They went to bring out scarf for everybody in the bridal train and say, you must cover yourself. Otherwise, just go out. So they were covering. They managed that one. But that day, there were two weddings. The second wedding was the one that was related to us. And the second wedding is, the girl is from a Muslim background. But she's a Christian and she wants to get wedded normally. So when the people who were coming for the girl came, the second wedding, they were all covered. The thing irritated the ushers. I hope you understand that. They were angry with the first group because and then the second one now really did what? Then they said, no. I hope you understand sometimes what we do. The same day, the same church, the same kind of event, different reaction. Now sometimes we insist that before I accept you, you must become me. But that's not the gospel. And that's not the context for relationship. In fact, the context is that do not expect an unbeliever to behave like a believer before he becomes one. Otherwise, you will raise a hypocrite. Are you listening to me? And for whatever reason, if we are too on the edgy side, our church our group, small group may end up becoming a museum, not a hospital. A hospital that rejects outpatients. What will happen to that hospital? Say, no, everybody must be okay. We don't take outpatients here. We don't take sick people here. The hospital will close down. So, the first line that I see is that if you are going to initiate relationship that is developmental, it starts with what? Accepting. I have told you that I still struggle with it. Then I call myself to order and say, no, it's not about you, it's about Christ. Abi? When people start making cat calls, I want to say, Kilo Shewano. When I see somebody, we call something unconscious bias. Abi? When I see somebody, a man with a pierced ear, I'm telling you my unconscious bias. Then I try to overgrow and say, no, that's not it. It is not a container, go for the content. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. So if we're going to really, really grow, we must every day, we will meet Zacchaeus and we will meet Onesimus. Abi? And the context must be a context of what? I can hear you. Acceptance. What's the second context? What's the second thing that pays attention? That it's not just acceptance, there must be attention. Because behind every terrible makeup is insecurity. Hello? When you see somebody making a bizarre makeup, that person is concealing what? It's actually makeup and cover up. If only you will go beyond the mask, you will be able to help the person behind the mask. When Jesus saw that man on the tree, he knew that the man was a struggling person. Abi? That climbed a sycamore tree needed attention. And what did Jesus do? He gave him attention. Now, when I find somebody who is so noisy and too vocal in my group, what is that person saying to me? Hello? I am overfilled. I have expression. I want to say certain things. And like Revd did say in the course of teaching, sometimes we have to pause and say we're attending to you. I think he stressed that over and over in the context of the training. I followed that. Okay, would we not cover the lesson? Would we not do that? The Holy Spirit will teach you when to stop and say, this is Zacchaeus. Are we together? So the context of relationship is A for what? Acceptance. And the second A is what? Attention. I assess the mood. And the third A is what? Asking. When God came around to initiate a broken relationship, what did he say to Adam and Eve? There was a seeking love. Where are what? Where art thou? Where's your location? There must be a research. The context of relationship that is developmental is also a probing one. It asks questions. And it asks good questions. Not close-ended questions. So for you to create that context as a small group leader, the first thing that you must overcome is unconscious bias, Abi? And so we say it is what? Acceptance. What's the second one? Attention. What's the third one? Asking. And what's the fourth one? It is after you get that, you do what? Affirming. And I use the affirming by looking for the positive to applause. Okay, you have a knowledge of God, but you are not a Christian. I think the fact that you even talk about God shows that we have something in common, isn't it? So let's agree, and I salute you for that. There are those who don't even believe that there is a God. So your own Muslim fanatical or fanaticism is that there is a God. So we have a common base. Now, but we still have some differences that we need to talk about later. I'm not placarding and not fine-tuning, but I'm just talking about the context. The 4 angles for a relation. Is it angles? And the square or the rectangle, the 4 different areas that we must pay attention to. If we want to craft a relationship that will develop others. If you don't accept me, you cannot teach me. Huh? It will be very difficult. I may repeat what you have said, but you are not transforming my life. I will give you the information back. You are not shaping me. And, of course, the other 3 are there. What are the currencies for developmental relationship? Naira and Kobo, Eshi Daddy. Ever may contribute more, see. What other currency do they need? What currency must be flowing very well if we are going to have developmental relationship? Ma? What must we be exchanging between me and my group members? And I must be spraying them with it. Love? Okay, yes, I take love. But I'm looking for love. Yes, love is very strong, mommy. Give me another word. I did not capture that in my own notes. But love is certainly a currency for relationship. Love, understanding. Prayers. Encouragement. I like that. Encouragement. Sharing. Must be sharing. That's a currency. They also have ideas. Communication. Okay. I was looking for attitudinal things. Things that okay. Let me just add my own because what you have said is correct. But I have this bias. The first currency that I think is scarce that we don't use is what? Time. There can be no deep relationship. Why do some parents have broken relationship with their children? They don't have time. And what do they have? Why do husband and wife sometimes fight? It's not Naira and Kobo. The Naira and Kobo is there. But what? Revd, tell him to have time for me. Abi, I am not an object. Time. And time can be very, very critical in relationships. Do you agree? There is a currency. Is it dollar or naira now? Is it local currency or foreign? Time. What's the other one? I think Revd said communication. What's the second one? We are looking at letter T. Number 1 is the first currency is time. Abi, can I see you do that? Time. The second one is what? Talk. What's the third currency? If you, apart from the content of what you are sharing in your class, how you talk make a world of difference, isn't it? And if the talk is, I will talk about that later. If the talk is something that is a bonding talk, people will grow up together. The third one is what? Is this a currency? Is it? Can you say, oh, I want to pick your brain? I wrote this from a developmental relationship that I had. Dr. Idemi was a member of that group too. We meet to pray with one of our guys at that time. And he'll say, I want to pick your brain. Abi? Remember him? So he calls attention and said, let me pick your brain. Okay, we are meeting for prayers. We will pray, but we still get a feedback. We think together. And you know, when you think together, you are spending high currency with the people you are thinking together with. There's also a bonding taking place. Because at that time you are saying, I'm not Mr. Know-all. And I'm not also dealing with idiots, Abi. I'm dealing with people who can contribute. And the next one is what? Sorry, it should be transparency. Transparency is CY. Ma'am? Okay, mommy, thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma. Like-mindedness. It is tuning to the same frequency. And we will soon talk about that. In fact, there can be no real developmental relationship if you are not on the same frequency. So when we are thinking together, I'm saying, Kilero no, Eja wo no, and then Anambra is voting today. Abibe Kone. So we talk about that. What do you think? Where is this country heading to? What is militarization and all that? We talk. Which team is playing? Manchester and Man City are playing today. We talk. Abi? And of course, transparency. And the third one, the last one is what? Thirsting for God. Sorry, maybe my desire to use T crushed me into a plate. But I want just to say this currency, as I was looking at my own relationships, what is it? The ones that we have had very good relationship, that are developmental in nature, this is what they give me back. They share something about their life, and I feel, see, Pastor Bafileshele, Lord, you must help me. He has finished reading the Bible, and me, I'm still at this level. So it's a currency. There's something that gingers us. He said, did you see that in the book of Matthew? I never looked at Matthew from that eye. Abi? Oh, we have a prayer session in our own church. We had this that was done. Okay, sorry, let's go to skills for building relationship, and I'll be done. For initiating relationships. I'll be done with my part one. How many minutes do I have more? About 10 minutes more? Kotoye? Yes, Luluwa. Okay, I'll just stop and I'll continue at the next one. So, skills for building relationship. Mommy, you just talked about similarity. For you to start any relationship, you must build what? Did I hear you say that? We must build what? Rapport. Jesus looked at him and said, "Come down," isn't it? I will eat in your house today. And then they said, he is even identifying with who? With sinners. And he calls himself a right man. Now, you cannot really have a developmental relationship if there is no similarity between you and the people that you want a relationship with. And you must be intentional about it. There's a pastor that has a ministry that we attest to. Mommy, he has area boys. And he also has prostitutes. He goes around. In fact, the day we went to visit him, the hotel he puts me, my wife said, "Hey, Lulu, I can't be here. I got to pack out." Because as you are entering the hotel, the women are sitting down with legs open. So, and he said, Revd invited Destiny. Now we have vouched for him. His wife has vouched for him that he's a person of integrity. He has the language, the understanding, the thinking of hemp smokers and prostitutes. And some of them had been converted to become members of his church. But his wife was with us how many days ago? When she was still saying it, I was still developing some pimples. I can't. Now, there can be no relationship if you are not having commonalities. I hope I'm making that clear. There must be language commonalities, value commonalities, harmonization comes in. Or you must be intentional about it to say, I want to enter into the world of another person. The second one is what? Talking. There are 4 types of talks that you must learn to share. Number 1 is what? Small talks. Abi? We just shared some small talks now. Who is playing match today? Who was election today? Abi? There are talks that are icebreakers that can help you enter into any person's world. Small talks. The roads are bad. Abi? Security is a problem. Kidnapping is everywhere. There are small talks. But what's the second talk that you must get into? It's just like you are mixing ingredients together. The second type of talk you need to learn, can you give me an example of empowering talks? Hello? Can you give me an example of empowering talks that you can share with someone? Good. encouraging. Share my wípé téèyàn bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ta ice water ládùúgbò yìí yóò make owó ẹ̀. What's that one? That's an empowering talk. Do you know that they are selling ewedu in this other market at this rate? What's that? That's an empowering talk. Talks that triggers certain things in another person. So I'm not just sharing an event. What am I sharing? I'm sharing ideas. Now, if you are not sharing problem every time you meet, chances are you will make friends better. If every time somebody comes in contact with you, he comes only with toxic talks, complain, Abi, you have also offended me again. You knew you have started the way you used to do it. If it is accusative talk, toxic talks, what happens after a while? Withdrawal. I was speaking with a woman yesterday. I said, your husband has sent me to you. Your husband said I should tell you that you are making it difficult for him to love you. And she said, kini mo she? And the husband has said to me that if he gets to work and call her and say, dear, mo kàn ní kí n kí ẹni mo fẹ́ gbóhùn ẹ, and ṣé ẹ ní nǹkan mi tẹ́ fẹ́ sọ mọ́? Hello? Ṣé ẹ ní nǹkan mi tẹ́ fẹ́ sọ mọ́? Is that why you call? That she will just abruptly terminate it. And he is high. He wanted to gbókùn that he's talking with his wife. So she said, ṣé yẹn ló wá ń dùn wọ́n? Now, when getting close to you breeds toxic talks or accusative talks, it shuts down relationship. So the top, I said 3 talks before. You must have, the first one is what? Small talks, empowering talks, instructive talks, and of course the last one, revealing talks. Now, revealing talks, we are very careful not to share this with everybody, because revealing talks are your feeling talks. Are we together? So, there are talks that are like spices for initiating relationship. If I meet you for the first time and I have not known you before, you just joined this church and I see you as a guest and I want to walk to you, I can practice 3 talks with you instantly. Abi, I can start with a small talk. So, how are you? Where do you come from? Oh, my name is Jerry. I've been in this church for a while, and I realize that you're a new face in this area. Are you living in this area? Those are small talks, Abi. And I make you feel relaxed. Then we can gradually up it up. And so you are living in that area. Oh, I know something. If I know something about that area, we connect. We are building rapport. Then we can raise it up to an instructive talk. You need to get Revd sermon for 2 weeks ago. If we have tapes, I will give you that video. You need to just watch that. That's an instructive one. And of course, if we start bonding more, there can be revealing talks. Do you know that I was a drug addict at one time? Do you know that I was also a rough person at one time? At that time, I'm revealing. Now, these talks are bonding. They initiate. The first one we said is build rapport. Are you together? The second one is what? Talking. And the third one is what? Listening. If you really want relationship, you must listen. And I've given some example. Make some listening noise. What are some examples of listening noise? Can you give me some example? Listening noise. What are some examples of listening noise? Wow. Great. Huh? Hey. Wow. I've not said anything. Have I said anything? No. And then the top will be rolling. You never see anything. I go tell you more. Tell me. The other day when I can't knock him, I can't go this place. They can't tell me, I bet they did Naira bet. I be Kenekon. Say, you? Sure? Abi? So, listening is one tonic for relationship. Listen through surveys and observation. When Revd started this whole thing, he was reporting some surveys. Abi? He had done some things, he had gone around. That is an act of listening. How do we initiate relationship? We build rapport, and to build rapport, what do? I talk, small talk, empowering talk, instructive talks, revealing talks. What else do? I listen. And what do? I make listening noises. Really? Oh, wow. And what's the other one? Questions. Curiosity. Curiosity. We've spoken about questions the other time. What are some questions that you think if you ask me will get me talking? Can you try? I'm just new here. Can you give me an example of a question that you can get me talking? Anybody wants to demonstrate? Yes, Mommy, I'm listening to you. Me? I'm from the north. Did you know the north? You know the north? I'm from a village called Panyam in Plateau State. Yeah. You're from Jos, Mommy? Jesus is Lord. You see now, building rapport. Okay. So who can get me talking again? What question can you use to get me talking? Practice on me. Yes, sir. I'm great. I'm fine. Fine. Great. This Nigeria too. The week is okay. It's okay. You're true with me. It is me like Yakia. Oh my God. I have given you a cue. They are close-ended talk. Any open-ended one, anybody wants to try that? Feel very quickly, I will soon drop anywhere they told me to stop, I will just drop. What else can you do? Yes, get me talking, please. Open me up. Use questions. No, start your own. Don't jump from his own. Start your own. Me, I'm fine. Oh, Sam Dave, my Speaker of the House the other time. Can you meet me? I'm in the church. Oh, okay. My name is Jerry Akinsola. Huh? Okay, now you are talking. What attracted me to your church? You, for instance, you're a fine guy. You're my guy. Oh, that one, me I know Sabi una well. So would they pay tithe and offering for this church? Where is it in the Bible? Where is it in the Bible? Malachi. That one, the Old Testament. She would have been New Testament church. She would have been New Testament church. Wow, so okay now. So let me just curiosity, compliments. Just get these notes before we end. Some of us don't do this very well, and of course, empathizing. You have the notes, please. I will drop the slide with Reverend. So call attention to the achievements and characters of others. Please don't compliment people on appearance if you are not close to them. I hope I make that clear. Compliment people on character, compliment people on achievements, but sparingly compliment people on appearance. It is not part of developmental relationship, and it can be misinterpreted. You might have a different perspective and worldview, and the receiver of your compliment might twist it to mean something else. Is that okay? But it is one essential tool for initiating a relationship. Those who compliment your character or your accomplishments, if your class member does well, it triggers the desire to want to go back to that class. But if compliments are scarce, it also kills the passion. And empathy is something that is it's a big word. It means kindness, it means love, it means putting yourself in the shoes of another one before you pronounce a judgment. It is not condoning, but it is saying, I understand you. Probably if I were in your shoes, I might have made the same mistake or error, or I might have made the same judgment, or I might have come to the same conclusion. But probably because we had different background and all that, this is what happened. So it is important that we do that. And for you to really, really empathize with people, there are some keywords there that I've listed. You need to observe, get information, think, and imagine. Very important. I built relationship with lepers. I've shared this in this church. It was not a palatable one at the first one, to go to a leper colony. But when I started looking beyond the container, and I was settling quarrel between them, they were snatching each other's wife. People whose hands are gone, the legs are gone. I remember we got to the colony one day and said, go and warn him. Make him not come to my place again. I go show him. And it was they are fighting on women. And the woman too, her face had gone. Everything has gone. But they were human beings. So I started realizing that it is not about the container, it's about the content. And we connected. To imagine and put yourself in that kind of situation helps you. And the last one is what? Humor. Can your class be lively? Can there be some jokes in your class? Is it unchristian? Huh? Now, please listen to me very well, because I know they can take it to the other extreme. To call a jester to the church to keep the church laughing is wrong. I hope you understand that. But there are riddles. Can you give me an example of a Bible character that shared a riddle? Samson, of course, that's one. There are riddles. There should be recreation. There should be some light notes if you really want to connect with people, especially as you are initiating relationship. I don't play football, but I love football. I love football, plenty gone. And most of the members that we connected well with were people who, remember Mommy Arrigo Sacchi, Italia 98, I've been 90, Arrigo Sacchi. Now, we bonded. I was new in the church, and there were relationships that would be, oh, Pastor, why you like a ball? So even those who are unbelievers, but because they know I can give you some, I can do some analysis. Striker to buy a call you cookba, Ibawelo me sibe I'm saying bari ni mi o magba. But I can, critics are good in analysis. So humor can be a good one. Sometimes letting people see that you did not get to the height you are today. You were once a baby. The greatest man was once a baby, isn't it? It helps relationship. I come to, and of course, invite. Learn the skills of invitation. When you crack all the jokes, when you do everything to initiate relationship, make commitments. Require commitment from the person you are interacting with. I wish we can practice the skills of invitation, but we can't. I'm rounding up this first phase. To develop and initiate relationship, 4 things. What are they? Contact, care, contact, cultivation, care, and calling. Please, they are very important. If you are, I try to put it in C as you try to practice it tomorrow. Somebody comes into the church, what's the first thing you do? A contact. And the contact is what? Acceptance, isn't it? You are not perfect. You have not reached my height. You are not my kind of person, but I still do what? I accept you. You have challenges, things are not working well, I accept you. So there's a contact. And in contact, I use open questions, I listen to you, I talk with you, and then what do? We cultivate. We go beyond small talk to, which other one? Empowering talk, enlightening talk, or instructive talk. And then I show care by empathy. And I don't let it go by I end my, Sam Dave was saying, would you come to our church again? Abi? That was a call, isn't it? That was a commitment. Would you get involved in this class? What will you do as a result of this? There must be a closure that enhances a connection or a hook to the other person. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe we have been blessed. So what we now want to do, we want to look back, find some things we agreed to put into practice. So I want us to look at how it has been. Looking at our resolutions that Barrister Koshuedo helped us put together. I want us to look at how we are faring. The first the first key thing that we agreed on, teachers to deliberately make the class interactive from the beginning to the end. And this is only possible if teachers prepare well for their classes and address questions for discussion in the course of preparation. So how is our Sunday school now? How is our Sunday school classes now? What do we observe about this level of interaction? First of all, before you speak about yourself as a teacher, I want you to look at a class that you have participated as a class member. What have you observed? You may not necessarily mention the class. So what have you observed about fellow teachers? Discipleship class, discipleship group on Monday. What have you observed? Oh yeah, let's share that. So what do you normally do when you are in your Sunday school class and you throw a question to the students and they don't respond? What do you normally do? So I should call you there. Starting with you. So I should call you there. Can we have another mic?
From the Sunday school preview class, after the training, it has been interactive, irrespective of who is leading, whether the superintendent or any other teacher assigned to lead. And as a teacher, the training has also helped. At least every element he mentioned, like that, the last one, the enthusiasm, the sense of humor. At times we crack while passing message across. You know, I teach adult 1 class and sometimes the ushering class. The ushering class, their own setting is different from adult 1 because they are mamas and babas. So there is a way we talk to one another. But I can tell that even before they come to the class, they are already prepared. And that makes the class to be interactive. Yes, class members. That makes it to be interactive.
So, what did you do to bring that change of making them?
The first thing we did, I did, which everybody did at the same time, was the era of standing up as a teacher is gone. We all sit together, form a round table. So we see ourselves as we want to learn from, not that I'm here to teach. And the relationship also has improved. The fact that we are always after the curriculum before, 3 lessons explained, you have to, but now, even you can drive home the 3 lessons without following it sequentially, and you still pass the message across.
Thank you very much. Sister Emisi, what have you observed when you are not teaching and when you are teaching?
Thank you, sir. The class has been a wonderful one. Anytime I'm not teaching, I try to keep quiet and allow people to talk, to interact, to relate, and everybody in the class at dot 4 has always been wonderful. They want to share. Most of the time, our time has never been enough. We just try to at least allow everybody to talk, and they are ready to give examples relating to themselves, relating to even at work, what they do and everything. It has been wonderful.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Kosh.
The training has enabled a closer relationship with few, though not all. I'm just trying to, build that gradually with few members of the class. I mean, going beyond just saying in class to extending closeness or relationship to getting interested in what they do and stuff like that. And anytime I don't teach, the class that I sit has always been very interactive. The teacher will just facilitates the class, not necessarily being the one doing all the teaching alone.
Okay. There was a time I was in was it in your class or a class beside you? I don't know whether that was an oversight. You sat in circle, but I discovered that it was as if your member were running away. Like the circle was, I don't know whether you noticed, around here. You were here, and there was a great gap between you and them. I don't know whether you were, and it was in circle. That the thing was even worse than not being in circle, because they were just at the last, I don't know whether you observed, up there. Okay, to keep the distance. Okay. Mrs. Ogundairo.
Everybody has been saying, one other thing that I encourage doing, especially with the children, when I was taking them discipleship on Monday, is to make examples. When I feel like maybe they are not, maybe they don't understand the question I'm asking, I cite examples for them. So it helps them to pick up, like, okay, this is what she's trying to say, and then it opens them up to contribute to the conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Oladipo. So what changes have you noticed in the class when you are not teaching and when you are teaching?
When I'm not
Okay. Hold on, sir. Emmanuel.
I will try to be as sincere as possible. Since the training we had, I have tried at least once to be around my class when I am not teaching. But it has been extremely difficult. In fact, last Sunday, I thought I'll be able to attend my Sunday school class since I will not be teaching, but I had to be somewhere immediately after the first service. But in other times where I had opportunity to facilitate the class, I discovered that the class is quite large, and not everybody has the same view of the Word of God. So, even when the lesson is driving towards a direction, a contribution may come from a very extreme end and another contribution from another extreme end, and then you just have to bring a balance. So sometimes I'm also careful of throwing the discussion too open so that we don't open too many ends that won't be able to close. But overall, it has been very engaging for me because I learned that I must know the Bible very well and I must not say nonsense, because in the class, questions can be raised. Yes, it's so interactive that they can intercept with questions, and the questions may just meet you at the spot. So even though sometimes I try to quickly gain my balance by throwing it back to the class, but if there's nobody to respond, then I'll have to do the challenge.
Okay. Two of our new members spoke well of you, of your Sunday school class, your leadership of it. I even said I will relate that to you, but I forgot. Although I forgot what they said. I think you were there. Do you remember what they said? Or my wife, do you remember? That the method of teaching was very interactive, very interesting, very lively. In fact, they were new members, but in fact, they said they always look forward to come. So we thank God for that. Yes, sir.
Well, I did not participate in all the sections, training sections, but I was here for a few of them. And when I went back, I decided to practice them. One of them is just sitting down in a circle, because it's a small church, not so many, but we decided that, look, from now onwards we should sit down in a circle, and that has remained permanently so. And then in the church, we have pastors. We have matured Baptists. And, the pastor intentionally made me to teach. Anytime I ran, I teach. So this sitting down in a circle helped to provide an avenue of really relating in some level. Because sitting in a circle, you don't know the teacher, you don't know because the teacher doesn't talk much, most of everybody talks, so you don't really know who is the teacher. It cancels that tendency to compete. So, no, this is what I said, the teacher is standing up and everybody sitting down. No, this is what the Bible says, and you're pointing down and they are pointing up. That cancelled it. In fact, a few occasions that I wasn't around, I heard there was some kind of argument. So it helped to leverage everybody. And then what I also noticed, now that we are relationship based, is that our Sunday school lessons are relationship based. If you look at what we have just learned in October, it's all about worship. Every Sunday is something about worship. And you can't talk about worship meaningfully without talking of relationship. And that also deals with our relationship, like all what we have just learned today. It's all about, it goes very much with worship. So there's so much to talk about and to discuss, even when we try to bring in the lessons of our Sunday school to relating very well among ourselves.
Okay. Your experience when you are not teaching and even when you are teaching. I mean, what have you experienced, observed?
I see that the interaction has been flowing very well amongst the class. And then I also see that the interaction most times now go to a point of not being able to control, not being able to manage time very well, not ending the
class on time,
not ending the class on time, and not even closing up the lessons, and then of course not being able to touch the salient issues involved in in the lesson. I see that often. But I see a lot of smiles in the faces of people that makes them feel content. Not contented, content with what has been offered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, in fact, we'll have called you because you are a student, so you should be able to. We've been talking mainly about Sunday school. We are coming to discipleship, Monday discipleship.
To mention that I think it will not be out of place for somebody like me who have not been regular in the training, but to just share my experience as a student. Well, I didn't know that all of this has been put into training in our teachers, but generally I've seen that, all of a sudden I just discovered over time that our sitting position changed.
And we didn't make it, everybody did it on this our own. No?
Yes. Sunday in, Sunday out has been relatively high. In fact, we can tell if somebody is not around. So the relationship aspect has really been a good thing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
I want to talk about our class, choir. Mrs. Oluwashemire has been very good, and her teaching method has been very impactful, and she's able to control the class. She's able to control the class.
Okay, good.
She will mention names. Miss Oloyede, you are not listening.
It's an example now.
It's an example. Yes. Yes. So, our eyes goes round. When you are not paying attention, when you are not listening, even if your attention is to another thing and you are looking at her, she will say, Mama Dickness, kilo shele. And she will just bring everybody closer. And when you are coming late, she has a way of telling you that you are late, jokingly, and you will take it. And I've noticed that those ones that she has corrected that way, that they have been making Sunday school early enough. Thank you.
Good. Any other contribution on that interactive aspect? Not on Monday discipleship yet. Okay. We've not even heard from children per se.
The only thing I want to add, when I'm not teaching the children, I used to attend my class. What they brought in that I was surprised is when one of us is celebrating birthday, and they now brought, on our coming, she brought something. As we are doing the study, she'll give you the nylon, they will pass it around without distracting the class. Then the second one is that there is a couple in that class. That particular Sunday, the wife did not follow. Immediately he sat down, all eyes was just on him, and he was saying that, is it because my wife is not around? Everybody was saying that is the question we want to ask, and it's as if they are after each other, even in the platform, the way they used to celebrate one another.
Okay.
Sorry, let me concerning the children class. Immediately Daddy was through with his when we're through with the teaching, he came to children class, and just like I was discussing with Mommy Ajayi, children class were divided into smaller age group, which has really helped, especially age 10 to 12. Some of them, before, when you are in that class, when you are teaching them, or when you observe a teacher taking them, some of them will be drawing. They will sit at the back, and some will be in front, and there's some set of people that are participating in the class. But since they've been divided, there has been drastic improvement, more so in the way they sit and there is a kind of closer interaction and good rapport, most especially when Mommy Babajide is taking that class, ages 10 to 12. And Mommy and that was the first class Reverend noticed immediately came in, like, Ejeka, and after that class was divided, I can say that the younger ones are now contributing in class, such that when a particular teacher is not around or has not yet, someone they are expecting in class, they say, hey, our class today, we don't see. And last week they taught, I was like, hey, so you remember what they taught you. Kudos to all our teachers, children class, and most especially if you are in that class, you might be very discouraged. But if you are interacting well with them, speaking their language at the right time and properly, oh God, they are so sweet to interact with. This lecture has been so very great. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there is no doubt that God has indeed helped us, Abby, about the issue of interaction. And class members, they speak more now. So the challenge of time. So how have you now been managing it? So can we talk about that? How have you been managing it? I hope you have really been teaching. I hope you have not abandoned the teaching. So can we talk about that? And way out. Hallelujah. This our mic is not doing well this morning. Whatever you can help us do about it.
Normal.
You are not supposed to. You have been. Sorry.
I think it will be short by like 5-7 minutes because of our preparation for the service. But what we do there is once we come on our platform, we'll have started discussing about the topic. You know, we put a poster on the platform. So immediately we come, we just quickly round up on that, and then we read the lesson, the scripture once. Once we read, some people will miss the reading, but by the time we are now discussing it, we'll just be referring them, those that comes late, to go and read it. Then we'll be discussing it, and the various discussion. The teacher will not be explaining too much, just asking questions, and from the responses, we are able to discuss the lesson.
Okay, so one of the things that someone suggested at that time, you're already putting into practice, that the study can begin on WhatsApp group. So, okay, that's what's okay. So others, how have you been handling the challenge of time? How have you been handling it? Oh yeah, Pastor Emmanuel. So have you been handling the challenge of time? It is very glaring because you even see that, I don't even know, the person that used to ring bell most times, I don't know whether there is nobody that rings bell again. Where is Sunday school superintendent? And ideally, I think the person rounding off is even always carried away. Because we discover that until maybe it is 5 minutes to, the person will not even come most times. So Sunday school superintendent, I don't know, the bell is a kind of a reminder. Sunday school, please come down. So the issue of the bell is a kind of a reminder. And I know in the past, the bell used to ring 3 times, Abby. That every teacher understands. Okay, 2 times, Abby. It used to be 3. So that every teacher understands When the first one rings like this, the second one, and the third one. So we may need to get back into that. Sorry, Emmanuel. I don't know also what we are going to do to the person that is it not better to be using somebody that is not teaching? Because I see that in recent times now, the person also is carried away in his class. Will not even come on time. So is it not better to be using somebody that is not teaching? Because it's not everybody that comes to preview that teaches. Okay. So mostly there is no teacher that comes around to preview and then don't eventually teach. Okay. So maybe until we are able to overcome that challenge, if you know you are the one that have been assigned, you may need to really time yourself. So thank you. Emmanuel.
Well, I think that the first thing that has helped me first thing the first thing that has helped me is time consciousness. And so whether there is a time reminder or not, I try to always bear in mind that I don't have all the time. Then the second thing that I think has also helped me is that I know that teaching is a skill. So one must be enhanced with such skill that you can pass the message across in the shortest time possible. Ambiguity. So I try to employ everything that can assist me or help me to pass the message across, which could also be through illustrations or examples, life examples or quotes or anything. And that also means that you cannot effectively take a class. It's not